Waiting for that red button. And welcome, everybody. This is the latest episode of Beyond the Buzzer. I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game, and you'll notice that I'm not looking so fresh and so clean as your normal host. That's because, well, tonight, Danny Thompson's under the weather, but hey, listen, we got the talent to fill in to do the thing. And of course, listen, I'd love to talk for hours by myself, but I had too good an opportunity to get my main man out from the artillery line in support to come to the front line here to do the battle. This may be the only friendly conversation you see against guys our age, both wearing a Giants and 49ers hat. Give it up, my man, Bobby Blackjack, doing the thing. Bobby, man, thanks for coming in.
What's up, Kyle? How are you? How was your weekend?
Listen, man, I have small children and it was Halloween. Eventful to say the least. I know COVID limited it some. There were a few extra masks beyond the normal holiday fervor as you would have. But when you have a baby pumpkin and a mermaid with rainbow hair, it really can't be that bad an evening. That's how I'm going to leave it to.
So real quick, you mentioned Halloween.
I did.
How was Halloween in Florida? Because I know around here, the kids don't come around anymore. I don't know if it was because of COVID or was it a normal Halloween down there for you?
There were differences, but they were far more subtle. I mean, for one, the weather was a lot more friendly. I mean, there were some contests during the past weekend where cold and snow was an issue. But here it was a lot more tables set out with people socially distant, and you would pick up your candy, maybe sanitize first. And I mean, that's how we did it. I know at my house, my daughter picked a giant pumpkin from the patch, the one that the people there said was the biggest one at the patch. We put that on a table with some candy corns and a light up decoration. We had to have something with lights out there so nobody would come by and just take one scoop, And listen, I don't want anybody stealing the card table either. There's that.
Kind of one thing real quick. Here's one difference between Jersey and Florida. Everybody around here, here at my sister's house, we put pumpkins out, and the squirrels decimated them. Like they went to town eating the pumpkins. So I don't know if that happens down there by you, but
I'm glad. I've never had that happen. I'm glad to say it doesn't, because, well, I'll put it this way. When it was all done, the wife took that, roasted the pumpkin seeds with some coconut oil and various other things, which is awesome on ice cream. And then we have fresh pumpkin to start ripping loose pumpkin pies, pumpkin rolls. And my wife even promised me homemade pumpkin ice cream, Bobby Blackjack.
Oh, my favorite. Oh.
I am excited for all that. And Danny Thompson, I'll tell you, I think the reason he's feeling under the weather is celebrating so hard from Thursday night with his Falcons beating the Panthers and relieving him of the Sir Purr title permanently for the 2020 season.
Now that you mentioned that, why isn't he here tonight? I mean, I know he's under the weather, but you know what? I don't know. I might have to, I'll have a little talk with Mr. Thompson. We had the big win. He gets the monkey off his back, and he's not here tonight. I don't know.
That's the reason why I know he actually doesn't feel well, because this would be a night he'd be like, he would give his version of the MLK speech, free at last, good God almighty, free at last. So, we're taking a little easy on him. Like I said, that's how we know he's actually sick. So yeah, man, that'll break it down for the weekend. I also noticed that I've talked a bit about the Panthers and the Falcons and haven't yet heard from Rodney either. So I have my own. I'm more concerned about his state of being, or excuse me, I'm more concerned about Danny than him, because I know Danny would much rather be here, but I think Rodney's dodging us. I'm just saying.
Yeah, this is a good test to see if Rodney is all about busting Danny's chops, or if he's just a true fan of the show and he's going to start razzing you and I. But we'll see next 2 hours if that happens or not.
I'll put it this: I know he'll razz me because he tried to tell me I don't cook with no flavor. I mean, like he went with the cheap shot. That's how I know he's our troll and we love him. Anyway,
yeah, I heard that. I remember that. You mentioned something about cooking up north or something. So all right, you're right. I'm gonna look out for that.
So, anyways, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, something I wanted to get into just in general. At the big headline for college football, for those that haven't heard or have lived under a rock or forgotten, Trevor Lawrence during the previous week after our Monday show is a confirmed COVID case. Before we get too much into that, up in the corner, we have our sponsor for the What's the Buzz segment there, Valor Music. And listen, itsvalor.com. Check them out there. All your needs for whatever you require for your digital media presence. They'll get you out there to get your name out there. They help you get your demo cut so you could afford to get an expensive haircut or something like that. I don't know. I was trying to go with cuts as a theme. But the punchline is Valor will help you out with all that good stuff there. So check them out. ITS Valor. It's valor.com. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's very fortunate tonight, Bobby, actually, that you're here, because the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are in a very interesting predicament, because for their coming matchup against Clemson, it has been said, that could be the other reason why Rodney's missing, by the way. It could be said that Clemson, without Trevor Lawrence, gives Notre Dame an opportunity to pull the W. But Bobby, I would argue for your Fighting Irish, this actually applies more pressure, because if they don't win this game, there's going to be no, but it's Clemson bailout. You did it. If they beat you, they did it without arguably the best starting quarterback prospect in the NCAA since Andrew Luck. Your thoughts on that, brother?
Well, it's funny, I was going to jump on the show anyway with my thoughts about this. Because the way I look at it, as a huge Notre Dame fan, and I don't have any, I'm not in my, soon I'll be down in my basement. I'll have all my props. But my thoughts about this game with Trevor Lawrence, unfortunately, getting the COVID, is that Notre Dame is in a no-win situation here, at least for the first game. If they win on Saturday, Lawrence didn't play. If they lose on Saturday, you can't beat the team without the top dog. So we're really in a no-win situation. But who's in for a win situation are college football fans, because if Notre Dame does win this game on Saturday, that'll set up for, we would think, will be an even better ACC championship game, when they should be a rematch.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the winner of that game goes on to probably, the big games at the end, or the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, story-wise, this sets the table beautifully. But for the game itself, no, you and I seem to agree 100% on this, Banda. And actually, should Notre Dame triumph or fall to the Tigers, the Miami Hurricanes are the next one in line in the conference. That becomes delightfully interesting a race. And listen, I did not think at this time, early in the season, Bobby Blackjack, that we would be talking about the Miami Hurricanes as somebody who would make it to the conference championship. I'm not here to tell you they're going to beat Clemson. Hell, we saw the beatdown 42-17 earlier in the season. Dominated, I believe, is the word you're looking for. But I'll tell you this, Bobby. If Notre Dame wins this game, I think they've pretty much given themselves a pretty darn clear path, because, say what you will about my mockery of your Fighting Irish's football schedule. At the end of the day, if they got to coast, then so be it. I mean, the next most threatening team would be what, BC or North Carolina, who, listen, I've been calling North Carolina fraudulent as a football team ever since the beginning of the season, when they opted to avoid playing UCF because of COVID concerns or whatever. But this BC game, I'll give you this much credit, Bobby Blackjack, especially after Clemson beat them by 8 points last week, again, without Trevor Lawrence. If Notre Dame does their part to supplant BC in dominant fashion and avoid the trap after beating Clemson, I can make a case for ranking them ahead of they would be ranked ahead of Clemson in the conference. Do you think that they would get into that conversation for the top three? Would they be the number one in the nation even, Bobby?
You know what? And unfortunately, we're always going to have, and if you know me and people who don't know me pretty well, I dislike Alabama. I am not an Alabama fan.
I don't think you're alone in that fact.
For me, there's two national holidays: when Alabama and Saban loses, and when Duke loses in a basketball game. To me, the next day should be a national day of celebration. Unfortunately, Alabama is still there. They're not winning as effectively as they have been in the past couple of years, I don't believe. But, the reputation is going to precede Notre Dame. If Notre Dame comes out and flat out spanks Clemson around on Saturday, that's the only chance you're going to have of Notre Dame surpassing Alabama in the polls. Real quick, folks, thanks for joining us here on Beyond the Buzz of Sports on 95 Sports Network. If you see me looking to my left or your right, I'm not sure. I'm just checking my Giants out to see what's going on the screen here. So it's not me being disinterested; it's me watching my Giants.
Hey, listen, Bobby, if they don't know about your role right now, handling things with artillery support for Danny and I, and that you're a super busy dude, even when you're talking with me, they just haven't been watching the show enough. And if they haven't been, get a hold of your life. No, that's a good point about Alabama, Bobby. I think I agree with you. While I don't necessarily loathe Alabama, I do appreciate the fact that you would be inclined to make their musical theme, along with Duke's and basketball, frankly, that of the Imperial March from Star Wars. I could appreciate that. But you would have to think Notre Dame would at least surpass Ohio State, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you have to, because Ohio State's only played 2 or 3 games, right? 2 games, right? So they would have to surpass.
By that point, it was 3 games, right? So, I mean, yeah, at that point, and listen, this is somebody who believes that Notre Dame has a lot of assistance via scheduling is how I'll put it in this whole scenario. And what with Ohio State on the road to Rutgers, the coming week, I'm sure that's going to be a wildly intimidating matchup.
Well, real quick, Kyle. I've covered Rutgers in the past. I'd like to get back in there with I-95 now that we have this global reach now, and I've talked to a few friends of mine who were former players. First of all, Rutgers got lucky this year because they would have played Monmouth that first game. Monmouth would have spanked them around. And Monmouth is that FCS team, good team, but they're pretty talented. They had a good year last year, and I really believe they would have spanked Rutgers around this year.
Interesting.
In the opening game, if there was one. Now that being said, Rutgers comes in, goes to Michigan State, spanks them around week 1. Everybody's surprised, right?
Right.
You cannot come home with that momentum. Again, I know there's no fans in the stands or anything, but Greg Schiano's back in Piscataway on the river, as they say. You cannot come home and lose to Indiana like that. Indiana is not known for their football program. I'm sorry. Basketball, yes. Football, hell no. So very disappointing to see Rutgers fall like they did to Indiana, and Brady sacked again.
Wow. That might be part of the reason why the Giants are staying scrappy in the game. I meant to say scrappy. I missed the S there. They're saying scrappy in the game and making it competitive. I'm surprised by that too. We had talked about that before we jumped on. But hey, listen, give IU their credit. They're competing in a Big Ten, which it could have been argued they don't have any business then. But when I was covering UCF with Blue HQ, they focused a lot on Indiana. We actually had a guy in the stands there at Indiana, and there was a marked improvement during that year. They were hoping to springboard it, and looks like that they've built on it somehow. And nonetheless, you could put as many fire alarms out there looking for things and beeping all you want. At the end of the day, Indiana has been at the very least impressive. Will it hold? Probably not, but that's a whole other question. So, speaking of things that weren't as impressive as they should have been, Danny Thompson's Golden Gophers lose to Maryland in overtime. The other team that I can't remember is actually in the Big Ten anymore, or rather in the ACC anymore, winning in their Big Ten matchup against the Golden Gophers, who are ranked 25th going into the year. I think it's pretty safe to say that they are not as advertised. Bobby, I see you shaking your head no. The Fool's Golden Gophers is what I will call them for the rest of the year.
Not the way he was defending them a few weeks ago on the show.
I'm glad you noticed that. He did come out pretty hard, didn't he?
Yeah, and they've shown nothing.
I mean, that could be the reason why he's dodging me today, Bobby Blackjack.
That could be it. That could be it.
So, Let me go down to the next thing. I know you're not dodging me because of that, Danny Thompson. I know. You know, you're in a tough situation. I'm looking here at the Big 12, Bobby Blackjack, and the fact that you had a huge overtime, 100 bazillion point game once again in Oklahoma State and Texas, doing battle another Big 12 game where the only thing big is the score. I find it interesting that we all mock Iowa State for the whole situation where they had an unfortunate loss to open the week in a COVID season, and yet they find themselves currently ranked at the top of the conference, tied, by the way, for the record, with the Kansas City State Wildcats. I don't know what to make of the Big 12, Bobby. I don't. But here's the one thing I will say. They have no business at the table for the playoff. Am I cool there? Is that a legitimate statement?
Yeah, the Big 12 always seems to be all offense, no defense, all bluster, no gust. I don't know the phrase I'm thinking about, but they're all talk, no action. It's all offense.
Let's say all bark, no bite.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, exactly. So you're right. Unless someone rises to the top of that conference and shows some mettle and can actually beat an ACC team, for God's sakes. They're not going to be any SEC teams. Those guys play defense, or Big Ten. Those guys play defense, right? So, they're gonna go out and play some, like SMU or somebody and spank them around in a bowl game and be proud about that. No, they don't belong there.
Yeah, I get it all the way around. Of course, I get that too all the way around. Of course, to pay a little tribute to Danny Thompson, last week he paid tribute to the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Now, there are two independents in the top 25, Bobby Blackjack. You have the Liberty Flames climbing in at number 25. Of course, the other independent being BYU. Congratulations. Enjoy it while it lasts. I really don't know what to say to that. Like, I'm looking at Liberty's schedule. I'm not impressed. I don't know why they're there, but it's mostly because of COVID, I think, right? So I just wanted to give them their shout. I know that Danny would have paid tribute to them, and there they have it.
Speaking of Liberty, how was that play? Didn't they have a big receiver who go out in the draft this year?
They did. I forget his name, but I know he got some attention.
Right?
Again?
He went to Washington, right? Gandy or something.
I remember the player, but I don't remember his name or where he ended up getting drafted. I did know their quarterback last year was named Buckshot. That was interesting. Buckshot, yes, of course. His passing in the Cure Bowl, where I watched him play, was about as accurate as a shotgun compared to the precision rifle that you hope to get in a quarterback. But I digress.
So, Kyle, what are your thoughts of this Liberty program that kind of comes from nowhere? Get some boosters coming in, paying their tabs, so to speak, to start playing major college football.
Well, I mean that
way up, or they just bought their way up.
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, listen, the main reason UCF fans, for example, I'll pick them as a similar example as well. The reason why they gripe a lot is they get what they get done without as many monetary resources, such as recruiting, such as facilities, et cetera, whereas based on TV money alone, let's say the SEC, the Pac-12, the Big 12, the Power 5 in general, well, I'll have to name them all, the Power 5 in general, get more money just because, and it's not necessarily higher quality football. Now, I'm not here to tell you Liberty belongs in the SEC. Let's not get stupid. But you mentioned endowment as a factor, and it absolutely does matter. Listen, to go with another example I could keep current with, you have it within the American Conference, which is what I think this is what the G5 aspires to do, right? If you're one of those conferences, you're trying to do what the American does. Go up to the point where you're credible enough to where you're actually in a place to where you show more prowess than a Power 5 conference. I can make a strong argument, Bobby Blackjack, that this year, the American Conference as a whole is stronger than the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big 12. I can make a good argument for that. Hell, Tulane nearly beat Oklahoma State in week 1. And I mean, I'm aware that they had an injury involving quarterbacks and such. And I'm aware that, 2020 is a thing. But the fact that a quote G5 conference can claim that prowess, that's them trying to achieve that goal, whether they do it through endowment, whether they do it with the fact that, like, let's say, again, going with the UCF, they're located in an area where there's a lot of recruits that are right out there in the backyard so they can take advantage. Whatever the goal is, the G5 is trying to do what they can to bring themselves credibility so that when the next playoff contract is drawn up, they'll be taken seriously, right? When they expand the college football playoff, right?
Now you're more of a. I mean, I'm a college football guy. I'm a Notre Dame, obviously a fanatic. I cover Rutgers up here, so you're a little more broad in scope when it comes to college football.
I try to.
What do you think about? Now you tell me if they have played or not. But Liberty reminds me kind of UAB, the program that was kind of like left for dead and then rose from the ashes. Have they played each other, or what would happen if they did?
I know they haven't played. They're not scheduled to in 2020, but I think they're in a similar boat, right? Like last year, UAB, I believe, made it to a bowl game. It was oh shoot, I forget the name of it, but it's the one that's in South Florida, the Boca Bowl. There we go. How do I forget that? They played in the Boca Bowl, and actually, I think I don't remember if they won it or not, but I know they played there, and I think the best chance for those two teams to battle would be in a bowl game this year if those games happen,
right? Because they're kind of like two programs who are neophytes in the Big Daddy college football, but yet coming from different sides of the the equation, so to speak. One team was built from the ashes. One team seems to have been built from deep pockets.
That's an excellent point, man. I wouldn't have put it. I wouldn't have thought about that with their identities on the surface, but you're accurate. Sure, and I mean, when we talk about other up and coming teams, Georgia State. When I covered them in the Cure Bowl 2 years ago, 2 years ago, they had won their first bowl game as a program, and they were only a decade old. Now they're just under 15 years old, and they're cracking national polls early on. Now, granted, they've fallen out since, but this is the path. To steal from the Mandalorian, aka the Baby Yoda show. This is the way. If you're trying to build, this is how you do it. It's a PR game, and that's the part that a lot of people don't grasp. There you go, my man. Show it off. But this is what you got to understand. This is something where you're looking to get the public aware of you. Like, I had not heard of Georgia State before I took a seat in the press box for the Cure Bowl. I had at least heard of Georgia Southern. I had heard of Liberty. Sam Congato was a Packer that played against UCF going back when I was still in college at running back, right? I had heard of Western Kentucky, who Georgia State had beaten in the Cure Bowl. I had heard of the teams, but I had not necessarily seen them play much. There you go. Get the big red out there, brother. That's right. To keep things relevant. This is an episodic show, ladies and gentlemen. But that's the goal. Basically, is something like this is perfect for Liberty, because then now, if they do well enough and they get to that next level bowl up, let's say a Camping World Bowl or something of that, the Belt Bowl, the Music City Bowl, something like that. And I don't know that they're contractually sent to those directions. I'm just telling you the echelon of bowl, right? That bowl that's better than, let's say, the Bahamas Bowl, which is canceled this year, by the way, or something of the lower ilk, going now to something that's got a little bit more funk on it, so to speak, right? It's not a New Year's Six Bowl, but it's something that's played in late December, and that's the next step for a smaller program like UAB, like Liberty, etc.
Yeah, That's the only joy you get out of having that ridiculously expanded bowl season with these bowls everywhere, and sometimes they got to find enough teams to qualify, right? Is that when you find those smaller teams playing, like a Wyoming back in the day, when they were like a small program making a name for themselves, and hey, they're a fun team to watch. So some of these smaller bowl games are actually kind of fun because of these smaller programs who are rising and giving them a chance to have a national audience.
No, and that's a great point. But let me ask you this question, Bobby. Just as a college football enthusiast, right? Not one who's necessarily claiming to be 100% an expert. Okay, this is just an informal poll of you, Bobby Blackjack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel more lately like those bowl games have been less about we're trying to find a team than bigger names having to sink down to those bowls because they got knocked out of competition, right? I think
that's what happened to Notre Dame last year.
For example,
they had no business playing Iowa State. They crushed them. But a bad loss here and there, and then you're relegated to that second or third level of games.
And now in Iowa State's defense, man, they made a couple key errors quickly to get stomped. Yeah, that game, it could have been closer. But hey, listen, if you can't play with the big boys, that's the mistakes you make. I get you. You could say that the same thing happened to Alabama. They still played in New Year's Six, but it wasn't a playoff game, and Michigan hung with them. One could argue that game may have maintained Jim Harbaugh's job, for example. As dumb as that is, that people want to fire him, please don't get me started. But but yeah, that's the point I'm making. I think those bowl games now have set the stage for it to be observed that these lower teams are getting better, that the standard of product of players is higher than it was in the past. Maybe we'll get to the point to where you'll get quality football out of every single bowl game. No offense to Georgia Southern, but Liberty playing against a team that runs the option, my idea of kicks on a Saturday.
Now, this is not me. You have a ghost somewhere. It's not me.
Ghost Thompson, right?
It's got to be Mr. DT over there.
I truly hope so, because if it's a ghost, it might be from your death previously, but I digress. But the situation is this, man. Like those bowls now, I think, are more to show how much these smaller teams have improved, and yeah, that's where I think it is, man. So, see, we talked a bit about you asked me good questions there. You threw me off, Bobby. Let me get back on track here. So going through here. Before we take a quick break, so we can get rehydrated and all that such, I gotta tell you, it's very interesting. At this point, I'm wondering who has a better shot to get to represent a non-Power 5 team in the playoff, if it's Cincinnati or if it's BYU. And I think, personally, if we're basing it, I think it's going to end up being BYU entirely based on marketeering, right? This is Brigham Young University has a name on it. It's an established university. And as somebody who's covered UCF and teams in the American, they're just not as well known. So they kind of escape the psyche of the college football public. I think if Cincinnati keeps their ways, it could be argued they deserve a shot. But I think if they're both undefeated by the end of the year, I think BYU gets the vote, much to my chagrin. What do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, BYU has always been a nationally known program for years. Uh-oh.
Oh. Hi, Precious.
Hi, Precious.
Hey, this is how I know I matter. Danny's not here, and she's still weighing in. Yay. Thank you. So listen, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break so we can get hydrated and do the thing. After that, we will transition out of the college football world and bring you to the world of the NFL. And I got a lot of smack to talk, a lot of deeper questions to be asked, because I hear a lot of stupid stuff being said out there. And no, it has nothing to do with Danny Thompson getting excited about a 2-6 team. He's allowed to do that. It's the NFC South. I get it. But there's a lot of silliness that I got to clear up, and we'll do it when we come back after this break. Bobby, go ahead and hit the button, brother.
Oh, what is that? It is a streusel topping. That is so cute. Thank you.
This one's for you, man. For my treat, I'm making a cinnamon whiskey glaze. After I finish the syrup, I start working on it.
So welcome back to Beyond the Buzzer, and appearing, bam, right on cue, my man, Bobby Blackjack. I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game, and we're going to keep things rolling as we step into the NFL. And listen, I got to tell you, as far as weeks of football go, I predicted a lot of this week. I'm not going to lie, but there were a few things that shocked the bejesus out of me. I'm also fairly correct there too. For one, was the Falcons taking care of business, but let's understand the fact that the reason why that happened was because of one man and one man alone, Julio Jones. 137 yards, had over half the yardage in the air for his squad. And the Panthers just couldn't keep up. It's that simple. When you move the ball more, when you score, let's do a Booker McFarland. When you score more points, you win the game, Bobby. Anyways. So
that's true. And that was a game that you know what? Atlanta just has some little pep in their step now. You know, got rid of the coach, won that first game, and they came in and they took control of that game pretty much from the start. I don't think Carolina really showed much at all.
Yeah,
and I was that game closely. Again, I'm a big fantasy football guy, so it was funny because my cousin on the big team we have, we kind of had miscommunication on Wednesday when we had waiver pickups, and we wanted to get Bridgewater for our team, and we both were working and we forgot. And he was like, "Oh man, you got to get Bridgewater. We're getting our ass kicked now." And I watched that game intently, and Bridgewater stunk. So, but you're gonna hate this. Who did we play instead of Bridgewater? Garoppolo, who did.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not going to hate it. Matter of fact, I'm going to chastise you. I warned you on this show, Bobby Blackjack. The Garoppolo's playing hurt. If you picked him, hashtag you problem. Or maybe that's why you were trying to get Bridgewater. My bad.
The whole thing was, real quick. We'll get to that game, obviously.
Sure.
But the whole thing about that game was, they're playing the Seahawks, worst pass defense in the league. He's going to score.
Well, you didn't know Kittle would get hurt.
I enjoy reading all those. I enjoy reading all the preparation stuff for fantasy football. But I got to stop reading the so-called "quote unquote" experts because you know what? I know just as much as they do, if not,
I'll send you a video about how I feel about fantasy football experts another time. Something I did with my friend Demosthenes Euclid at Hilarity by Default. By the way, thank you for the opportunity for the cheap promo. Anyways,
there you go.
So, but let's go ahead and jump into the rest of the NFL here, going game by game here a little bit. And here's the thing I can't figure out. Bobby, I'm going to take a few minutes on this one because here's where I'm at. The New England Patriots went to Buffalo to battle the Bills, where, hey, listen, if you believe them, no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Here's my thing. People have left New England for dead. Me, I had them going 8-8 and still making the playoffs, which means somehow I suppose it could be argued I'm straddling the fence because I didn't pick them to win the division yet. I still think they're a playoff threat in a 7-team per conference scenario. And I'm not prepared to waver off of that, at least not yet. That day may come, but we have not found it. Yeah, I understand that the Patriots are 2-5, and they still have to play the Jets, and they have to try to beat Miami a second time, which is not an easy out by any stretch of the imagination. But here's what I'm getting to. All I'm hearing about is how Tom Brady won the deal and how Tom Brady won the divorce. Here's my thing. Tom Brady didn't have to deal. And by the way, this hurts to have to defend the Patriots this hard, by the way. Tom Brady didn't have to deal with 8 COVID opt-outs going into the season, including, by the way, probably a defensive captain in your secondary in Patrick Chung. Tom Brady didn't have to deal with having COVID himself like Bill Belichick had to deal with Cam Newton having COVID himself, right? Having to go into a game against the defending Super Bowl champions with Jared flipping Stidham at quarterback. Okay, stop it. Like the worst receiver he's had to try to throw to might be Gronk or some rookies that are really good. I don't know. And I'm not saying that to trash Gronk, but early in the season, you could tell he didn't have his legs yet. That's what I'm saying. Then by the same token, Brady has every single weapon on offense that he can hope to acquire and more, right? Did they not get Leonard Fournette and I believe it was Shady McCoy on top of that at one point? And now you're talking about a situation where they're losing to the fraudulent Bears because Homesplice forgot what down it was. You're going to try to tell me that Belichick is dead and rotted. Listen, folks, let me be clear. I get the Bills won this game 24-21, but let's not forget it was on the strength of a late game turnover where Cam Newton got hit from behind in a very awkward place where he dropped the ball. And listen, credit to the Buffalo Bills defense. They're an awesome unit. If anybody's going to pull that off, it's going to be them, or to give Bobby Blackjack's team credit, the Steelers probably, right? But if that fumble doesn't happen, they're in position to tie that game. And oh, by the way, let's not figure out Cam Newton has won games like this before in the past. I don't care about the receiver core being awful, all right? Cam Newton, before he got COVID, was an MVP candidate early on, okay? Somebody else who was an MVP candidate? Josh Allen, who had fewer passing yards than Cam Newton in the game in question, I might also add. So can we please take a breath on this Brady won the divorce trash for 30 seconds? If you feel that way, you're not paying enough attention, and don't worry, the student of the game will set you straight. Anyways, anything to add on that, Bobby?
No, I think the pressure right now is on Brady. He's off to a great start. Not today, obviously. They're losing 14-6, but they're off to a great start. Everybody's predicting them to go to the Super Bowl, right?
Well, I have them winning the division. I do not have them winning the conference. So,
well, some people do. They're bandwagon, whatever. So, Belichick, I think, gets a mulligan this year. Right?
He should.
Because Brady's all about – Brady's still is playing the game. He's still a member of the – he's still a piece on the chessboard. Belichick is the mind making the moves, right? So I think he gets the mulligan this year because, it's going to take more than one season to replace a legend like Brady. So what I'm interested in seeing with the Patriots, do they blow it up?
Do they blow it up more? That's interesting.
Or do they try to repack and go for that last playoff spot? Because at that point, anything can happen, right?
Well, the word is with the NFL trading deadline coming up that they're going to make moves, right? Because Belichick's going to want picks. That's a safe assumption. But see, here's the thing. If you have that many opt-outs, including someone on offense, Bolden, Marquise Lee, do you blow it up? I mean, you do need that playmaker in space, no question. All right, and I'm not up on my contracts to know on who that guy might be. Okay, I'm sure there's somebody out there. Maybe you can make some sort of a trade to get your hands on Amari Cooper from Dallas at some point. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not up, like I said, I'm not up on the contracts. I didn't study that. You're posing a great question that I simply put wasn't prepared for. That's a me problem.
I keep reading AJ Green, by the way.
Say again?
I keep reading AJ Green to the Patriots.
That would be intriguing in and of itself. But you say all the pressures on Tom Brady. I don't agree, Bobby. I think the only pressure that's in place is what Tom puts on himself. If Brady goes out and does not make it to the Super Bowl, no one's going to hold it against him. It's not going to be Tom Brady's fault. It's going to be Tampa Bay's fault. Oh, well, it's Tampa. Screw it. Ybor City, traditional losers, only won one Super Bowl. And that's because they had one of the greatest defenses literally of all time. Hall of Famers at each level of the defense. Why the hell people still haven't gotten John Lynch in the Hall of Fame, I just don't know. But I'm going to leave that for another night. Yeah, I'm bitter, Bobby. I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, Belichick is the guy who initiated this move. Isn't he the one with the pressure, right? He's the one that shifted the GOAT, though I don't believe Tom Brady's the GOAT. That's another question. At the very least, he's the most accomplished NFL quarterback in history, right? You shipped the most accomplished quarterback in NFL history. You better know what the hell you're doing. And Patriots fans, I don't know if you've read their press, Bobby. They're pretty dumb. And they also criticize the hell out of their own crew. Like, it's insane. So you say the pressure is on Brady. I'm not saying there's none, but let's not act like he has more than his former coach. No, I'm getting nods. I guess I made a point. Okay, we'll move on with that. I appreciate it.
I mean, there's no right answer right now. We're still halfway through the season. We'll see how it ends. But karma would be both teams not making it, or both teams not making it.
Well, hey, I'm pretty sure at least one of them is going to make the playoffs. That's if there would have to be a disaster to prevent that. But let's not even talk about that, man.
Last week I filled in on Viva Los Bills Thursday night for my cousin Vinny, who was on the road. He's a trucker, so he was on the road. He lives in Florida by you. And I made the point to Will that this is a game where Buffalo had to win.
Yes.
They're look at it as Patriots being the neighborhood bully, and Buffalo is that kid who's been working out all winter long, right? No one's seen him. No one see what it looks like under the big heavy jacket. But hey, it's the first day of spring. There's some rumors that he did some things and he's ready for that challenge. And they had to go in and punch him in the mouth.
That's exactly right. And it wasn't just the winter, Bobby. It was 10 winters, right?
Yeah. Yes. So if they would have lost that game, I think there was probably a chance of the Buffalo Bills season spiraling out of control at that point, because that's the light you're trying to reach, and if you didn't do it, you know what? That's going to happen. And besides, they lost 2 games before that. Right. That would have been the start of a spiral right there, I think. And good thing for the Buffalo Bills. I like to root for them. I had said all along this year, this is 2020, the worst year of our lives so far, right? It's only apropos to have Buffalo play Minnesota in the Super Bowl, because both teams are 0-4 and someone has to win, right? But we'll see what happens, and let's move on.
Man, hey, give the Bills Mafia their credit. The wagons were circled on Sunday, no doubt about that. But speaking of things that we're uncertain of until the end of the year, this game right here has me once again rethinking my NFL Rookie of the Year situation. At first, I was tacked on to Joe Burrow. Then here came Justin Herbert out of nowhere. I almost said Justin Fields. Justin Herbert out of nowhere, doing a lot to change my mind. And then here comes Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals taking down the team I think that's going to win the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans. I don't care who you are, Bobby Blackjack, but for all the Titans fans, I constantly hear on the 3-point conversion chat group that we have on Facebook, or IM group, whatever. For all the griping I hear about the Titans not getting enough respect, here's the reason why you don't, is games like this. Inevitably, at some point in the season, the Tennessee Titans lose a game that they probably shouldn't. And the Cincinnati Bengals are that squad. Last week, they were supposed to give me a statement in battling the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they had an opportunity to win that game. They did not. Now they go into Cincinnati and they didn't just win, by the way, or they didn't just lose by a score. They lost by 2 scores to a rookie quarterback and a franchise that has been in free fall for an extended period of time and is hoping for the rookie in question to rescue them. If there are any Tennessee Titan fans that could come out there, comment in the screen so we can throw it up there, give me something. Well, I should take them seriously outside of the AFC South. I'm waiting. I'll tell you what.
Problem with the Titans right now is that, and which is actually a little reversal of what they usually do. They have the efficient offense now, but their defense is very subpar. And that showed big time against the Bengals this week. So, keen head coaches in the AFC are going to notice that and try to exploit their defense now.
Yeah, and listen, to take nothing from Mike Vrabel, but when you're at the place where you are, there's only so much you can do. And listen, to the Titans' credit, I'm not here to say they're a bad team. I'm here to say they should be doing better than what we saw on Sunday. And I think even Titan fans would agree with that statement. Next down the list, you have a situation here, Danny Thompson, in this Las Vegas Raiders versus Cleveland Browns game where Baker Mayfield was the top passer on the day with 122 yards. What an ugly game this was, but at the end of the day, John Gruden brought up his own style of ball, let Josh Jacobs control the ground and the time of possession, and the Browns fail again. Listen, man, I don't care how many great catches Jarvis Landry has to try to keep them in the fight, so to speak, but it's not enough. If you're Cleveland, it's time to panic, right? I'm not the only one that thinks this, right?
Now, again, I mentioned my little quarterback quandary before with the fantasy team. We missed out on Bridgewater. We already had Garoppolo, so we pick up Mayfield.
Now you're insulting me, Bobby Blackjack.
This league, real quick, this league has been around for 25 years since, we've only been in the league for about 6-7 years now as our little franchise.
Right.
So if someone's available, they get eaten up pretty quickly. So there's only so many starting quarterbacks left. So we figured Mayfield, coming off the big week last week, going against Vegas, would have at least a halfway decent game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well.
It's funny. In this league, ended up that we started Garoppolo, who gave us -2 points. Mayfield had 0. So we lost anyway. With a 2-point difference going with Mayfield with 0 and Garoppolo with -2. But, I mean, you got to like what Gruden's doing there in Vegas. They have a foundation, and with these quarterbacks coming out next year, Fields, Lawrence, Lance from the FCS, is he content and willing to build a team around David Carr? Carr's playing. I've seen Carr listed on some of the early season MVP lists.
So first off, I'm going to comment on that. That's ridiculous. Okay. If there's he's not even the most valuable quarterback in his own damn division. Can we talk about that for 30 seconds? Like, honestly, I'm
saying he's top of the list, but he's on, maybe of the top 10 MVP candidates, he's one of the top 10. He's on the bottom part, obviously, but that's a long way from 2 years ago of him getting cut and, Gruden hating him.
Okay, now that's fair. I'll give you that. But as far as an MVP candidate, I can make a better argument for Stephon Diggs than I could Derek Carr at this point, and I'll leave it at that.
Derek Carr, right? I said David. So I'm used to Giants.
I wasn't going to call it out, but yeah, you did that. Hey, that's okay, man. You're not the one calling yourself pretentious enough to call yourself a student, man. That's not your problem. You're the artillery man. That's my problem. Okay. But listen, at the end of the day, I like that they were able to pull out Josh Jacobs to control the game. I like that they had the defense working, which Las Vegas and defense, a Raiders franchise with defense. I can't think of the last time you could have said that with a straight face, and we'll leave it at that.
But Tanner, real quick though, again, tomorrow being the NFL trade deadline, I could see a decent name receiver going to Vegas. They're a one piece away from making being a playoff team. They are right now. They're in the conversation, but they're one good receiver away from being a little scary.
Because Hunter Renfro's a good tight end. I'll give them that. They got Josh Jacobs. They get
tight end's the other guy. Tight end is I have him on 3 of my team. What's his name? Waller.
Yeah, he's good too.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. But yeah, if they had another receiver, that would be intriguing. I'll grant you that. There's a reason why Gruden was desperate enough to give Brown to give AB a shot. So I don't know why I'm saying his whole name. Everybody calls him AB anyway. Speaking of things that usually put up a lot of yards with no defense, the Detroit Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford threw for 336 yards and still got worked by 20 points. The Colts preside and succeed over the Detroit Lions. Listen, the Colts are doing better than I would have thought with Old Man Rivers, but at the end of the day, all they are is a team that says, hey, you better have a pass rush or you better go home. And the Lions haven't had a pass rush of any note. It's Kyle Vanden Bosch? I don't know. But the point is, or Ndamukong Suh, of course. There's a reason why the Lions reign irrelevant. And at this point, here's the challenging question I have for you, Bobby Blackjack. Is it time for Matt Patricia to walk and be his pink slip as coach of the Detroit Lions?
Well, you know what? Funny you mentioned that because, I read certain sports websites I do read. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to mention my name because they're competitors, obviously, for what we do. But, they actually had them listed. The one does, a few people do this, but, coaches on the hot seat. And, the one I read all the time kind of mentioned that, hey, Matt Patricia, 1 or 2 games, he's now sitting at 500. Maybe things are starting to turn his way. But then you see this game on Sunday, and you scratch your head going, nah, they're the same old crappy team.
I mean, that's not a bad point by you, man. They can beat a certain type of team, and they're guaranteed to get worked by a certain type of team, which the Colts play strong defense. And while I believe T.Y. Hilton is out, the Colts are going to hit you with a play action kind of here's a running game to show you off. We got Jonathan Taylor and company in the backfield, and then Old Man Rivers going to beat you over the top. Granted, without Hilton, I don't know how much over the top they'll be. That's something we'll be checking out in the coming games for the Colts. Next up, another division rivalry. I keep trying to tell people how unimpressed I was by the Green Bay Packers draft, not just because they didn't get receivers, but they made all these defensive picks and still did nothing to stop the run after they got crushed in the conference championship. The team that they crushed, Bobby Blackjack, the Minnesota Vikings. Apparently they were watching the tape from when they got beat by the 49ers on their way to the Super Bowl last year, as Dalvin Cook proceeded to go Al Bundy on a beep and scored 4 touchdowns in one game to topple the Green Bay Packers. The defense, the Vikings are not good this year, and the Packers prove that they still suck at stopping the run. Now, the Packers have had success early, but with the Vikings doing this, if they play against any team that have any sort of running powers at all, you better bet that's going to come. And I think you'll see the Packers give up some losses here due to it. What say you, sir?
Unfortunately, the only game I lost in my fantasy at 4 teams was the team that had Dalvin Cook and scored 52 points. And, it makes you wonder, why did you let Blake Martinez go? Because that guy tackles everybody. And they couldn't even stop Dalvin Cook for anything. What do you have, over 200 yards total offense or something?
Oh, yeah, he got some passes, too. Had some passing touchdowns. Touchdowns. So I know that game was more of an indictment of how bad the Packers defense is or how woefully underachieving the Vikings are. I think it's the latter, because the Vikings carved up their defense in free agency pretty bad. They lost Stephon Diggs. They were hoping for Thielen to pick up the slack where he had in the past when Diggs was hurt. That is not happening this year. So I put it on the Packers defense because of this. I mentioned the draft. Then they extended their defensive tackle with a big bunch of money in a contract. After what happened in that conference championship game, it may have even been on this show, Bobby Blackjack, that I made a point to lambaste him for it. And now I try to tell him, and this is what you get: a loss to the 2020 woeful Minnesota Vikings. Speaking of woeful, the New York Jets had to go to Arrowhead and play the Chiefs. And yet somehow or another, the leader in rushing yards was Frank Gore. I don't know how that happened. He only had 30 yards, but whatever.
No, real quick. I love me some Frank Gore.
Me too.
First ballot Hall of Famer. Great character, great guy to have in your locker room. But at this point, why is he still getting the ball?
They ain't got no one else, Bono.
You got from Florida, Perrine, or right from Florida. Is that where he's from?
I'll put it this way, brother. He's not beating out 148-year-old Frank Gore. That should tell you all you need to know.
I keep hearing little whispers around here that Adam Gase is part of the plan, that they're tanking for a reason for Trevor, obviously, and that the reason why he's not fired yet because he's part of the plan, and he's part of the, let's tank and let's get. They don't like Darnold. Obviously, it wasn't their guy, right? And because don't forget, he helped Douglas get his job, the GM.
No, I understand that.
But that's just little conspiracy theories that whispering around here in New York, New Jersey that that it's part of the plan. That's why everybody keeps saying, why isn't Adam Gase fired yet?
I don't know how you're down on a guy that after having mono had a winning record with your garbage ass injured team, and then you're down on him. If it's really true that they're down on Darnold after what he did last year for this sorry franchise, you know what I say? Good for Sam Darnold when he catches on somewhere else, and sticks it right to their face. I think that'll be quite a sight to see, wouldn't you, Bobby Blackjack?
You know what? And when he's Tannehill 2.0, right? And he'll do well. He'll get a big contract from somebody else, and all bets are off at that point. But I've watched a couple of Jet games closely, because again, Sunday, relax, fantasy football, and I'm one of maybe I'm the minority. But I think Darnold is not the problem there.
He is absolutely
no tools around him.
Yeah,
around him.
He has, and when they do get somebody there, they don't stay healthy. I mean, it literally sounds like the Miami Dolphins that when I was covering them in 18 and 19. So, I mean, there you go. By the way, thanks for handing me the segue. Tua Tagovailoa took the field as the starter as the Los Angeles Rams came to town. And still, nonetheless, while granted Tua failed to produce more than 100 yards passing, it was the Miami Dolphins who would triumph over the Los Angeles Rams despite 355 yards from Jared Goff. A lot of the reason being the leader in rushing yards was Dolphin Myles Gaskin. Man, if I'm a Dolphin fan, I miss Kenyon Drake, by the way. But Myles Gaskin leading the game in rushing yards with 47 on the night, or on the day rather, over any other Los Angeles Ram. Yeah, of course, Cooper Kupp, top receiver on the day. It didn't really matter because, well, the Miami Dolphins defense went to work. Good for, I believe, at least one, if not two scores on the day. One of them on a fumble, scoop, and score to the hizzy with the Jared Goff and company threatening in the red zone. Listen, as far as outings go, Tua did fine, but if I was to offer him a grade, it would not be an A, B, C, D, or F. It would be an I for incomplete. We have not seen enough to really know what's going to happen here. Now, with the Dolphins doing what they're doing, give them this much credit, Bobby Blackjack. For one, I would call them a sneaky good out. Two, they have a winning record at this point in the season. For me, they're a threat in the playoffs, and frankly, I think you'll see it come down. There's a very good chance it'll come down to the final game between them and the Patriots, which they may actually play in Week 17, if I remember correctly. I'd have to look it up. But that next game could decide a lot for the fate of that final playoff spot in the conference. Them, of course, somehow, oddly, the Browns are still in the mix, etc. For a very interesting group for that seventh playoff spot. But Bobby, listen, as a Niner fan, if the Dolphins are on the schedule for a week, I'm a little worried about if that happens. What say you, man?
Well, let me backtrack a quick second on this thing.
Sure.
I guess I gotta eat some crow a little bit because I was, I'm on the side of the fence where I thought it was a crazy move. Why pull Fitzmagic now? He's winning. He's moving the team. He's playing probably the best ball I've ever seen him play in years. Right
up there,
right up there, and of course the game starts off right. Tua gets sacked by Darnold, fumbles the ball and whatnot. I'm like, here we go. Told you. Tua wasn't ready yet. But I tell you, there's a lot of knock on the Bill Belichick coaching tree, but Flores is on the other side. He's the one going up. The rest of the Belichick coaching tree is going downhill.
Yeah, Flores and Vrabel are the top ones for sure.
And Vrabel, yes, and Vrabel. But then again, in regards to this game, what the hell happened to LA? LA's, there's word. People are whispering that hey, maybe NFC West can have almost all the teams going to the playoffs. If you think about it, you have 4 good teams in that in that division. But LA, what happened? How do you look? That game wasn't even close. I don't think, right?
Well, I'll put it this way: the final score was within 11 points, 28-17. But I would argue it wasn't even that close, right? For my money, Bobby Blackjack. Listen, sometimes you go out and you just have a bad performance. And listen, when you give up, I think it was 4 turnovers, you're going to lose the football game. And listen, before you go out there hurling yourself into vats full of crow upon which you feel like you should feast, hold the phone, Chief. The guy didn't throw 100 yards passing. Let's relax before we start anointing the move good or bad yet. The point is, the move worked for 1 week. We don't know much more than that, okay? 12 for 22 for 93 yards and a touchdown is adorable. But when you really think about how much time they were on the field, you have quite the statistical anomaly in that there were 4 turnovers again allowed by the Rams, which means, and one of them was in the red zone, which means there was a lot of time that Tua Tagovailoa is not even on the damn field. And again, I'm taking nothing from him. I'm not saying he had a bad first start. He himself, however, in his own press conference said, thank God we have a good defense. So that tells me everything I need to know.
Again, all right. Is that below what you expected for him for his first game? Is that on par what you expected? I pull Patrick at this point.
Well,
they lose that game, and all eyes are on him.
True, completely accurate. I think you would have gotten a bit of a pass, though, in the fact that it's the Rams. The Rams are a good football team. You said it yourself. I mean, the NFC West is stacked, where the team at the bottom of the totem pole now is like the 3rd string for the 49ers, and you wouldn't be surprised if they went 500, right? So I know why. I don't like the move from a PR standpoint. I don't like the way they handle it. I don't like the way that they let Fitzmagic get shocked by it, as he talked about doing it, be heartbroken by it, all that happy stuff. But at day's end, we don't know yet. We don't know yet, man. We know less about what's going on with this than we do do with what's going on with the whole situation with the Baltimore Ravens and all that now. See, segue. As the Steelers headed to Baltimore for the first edition of the 2020 episode of the best rivalry in the NFL right now. Hashtag I said it. Sure, Bobby's a Steeler fan. Ain't got nothing to do with it. There's a reason why I went to Heinz Field in person for one of my stops, and I made sure I did it for a rendition of Steelers Ravens. I believe it was Joe Flacco's final trip to Heinz Field, if we're getting technical here. But what a great football game. As a fan, you're trying to watch it. And here's another thing, too. This defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers is fantastic.
Oh, my God.
One thing, I think the fact that they decided, I shouldn't say decided, that they had a fourth down in the red zone where Eljack went to run it and they stopped him. Tells you everything you need to know, Bobby Blackjack. I'll go ahead and let you speak your piece for your squad.
No, I think this is the best Steelers defense you've seen in quite a long time. I think they're loaded from the front, the backers to the D-backs. Now you're getting I think Avery Williamson from the Jets. I think it's only going to fortify. Unfortunately, Devin Bush got hurt and gone for the year. I think he's going to be think about it. Spillane was all over the place, and they still think they need to replace him. So it only tells you how high octane this defense is right now. And I'm also of the mindset that Lamar Jackson's book is out there, and it's up to Harbaugh and the Ravens to make him do different things. I think he's stoppable now. Last year he wasn't. This year he wasn't until the Titans. Right, and I think this year he can't be stopped. I know you're gonna mention the offense for the Steelers. I think the offense is. I think the offense has not reached its potential yet. Why do I say that? Juju is not Juju this year, and I think that might be by design. Let's win the games we can now. We're 7-0. We're doing great. Claypool. My Notre Dame guy from up north, from Canada, is phenomenal. I thought he was going to be good coming out because, right after the combine, he said, hey, he's got Megatron size, Megatron numbers, right? And he's not saying he's Megatron right now. He's not close to it yet.
He's not that kind of athlete.
Right. Yeah. But you know what? I think they're purposely not using Juju as much because that's going to be a weapon later on in the season. And then you have Deontay Johnson. You have Washington yet there. I think this team can go places. And I mentioned on Viva Los Bills on Thursday night when Will asked me, I thought the Steelers were going to lose this game because it seems like the Steelers and Ravens, best rivalry in football, they lose in each other's
home field.
Yeah, they win in their home field, lose on the road.
But it's not a lock. You could be on the road and win a game with Charlie Batch or Byron Leftwich for all you know, okay? Come on, man. So, first of all, I'm going to say shame on you for thinking you could predict the outcome to one of those games. And second, I would be careful with saying the book is out there on Lamar Jackson. Obviously, if you can take away his ability to run, he's a limited player, right? Just in the same as people say, if you can get pressure on Tom Brady, he's not the same player. What I would say is, just as it was true in the previous era of the stone-footed quarterback, i.e. Tom Brady, of course he'll start screwing up when you get pressure in his face. That's every quarterback. And with the current era of quarterbacks, your Russell Wilsons, your Kyler Murrays, your Lamar Jacksons, it's all for quarterbacks of that ilk. If you take away the run, of course they'll be comparatively limited. That's kind of how they set up the pass, as they draw you forward. But the reason why I'm slow to sign off on your comment that the book is out there is, hey, we have talented guys that can get a pass rush with 3 or 4 guys up front without a blitz, and then when we do, we completely devastate them. Not every NFL franchise has that, Bobby Blackjack. Hey, you know what? You know what happens when you have a front 4 that can get pressure on their own without a blitz? It's called the New York Giants that won the Super Bowl twice against Tom Brady, okay, folks? This isn't something, we got the book out there. The problem, listen, if I had $3 billion, I could buy a professional sports team. The book is out there, Bobby. The price is listed somewhere out there in Forbes, right? But not everybody has $3 billion. You see what I'm getting at there, man? When you say that, you kind of take away from your own team's defensive front, man. Not everybody has a group that can do that. And by the way, I'm not saying you did this, so let me put you in your bubble over here. If I hear one more person tell me that Lamar Jackson is a guy that doesn't show up for the big game or a guy that can't throw the football, you need to damn stop it, okay? Because I understand the fact that he lost a playoff game against the Tennessee Titans. I 100% am aware of that. But this dude threw for 300 and what? 65 yards? Threw for 365 yards. Had over 500 yards of all-purpose damn offense that you can have as a quarterback, and you're going to tell me that he's somebody who can't show up for the big game. Stop it. Be better, be smarter, know your ish. You're wrong there. Now, like I said, hey, you can stop Lamar Jackson. All you got to do is have Pittsburgh's front seven. Hey, better chance for you to win the division, homie. So, with that.
That's true. That's true.
Let's go to the next thing. Let's see. Oh, yeah. The Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers, which I'm stoked I called them Los Angeles. Woo! What's probably not shocking to anybody is Justin Herbert, as a Rookie of the Year candidate, outperforming whoever's throwing passes for the Denver Broncos, whether it's Drew Lock or not. But the fact that the Denver Broncos won this game 31-30, listen, at this point, Bobby, I'm not finding Justin Herbert suspect. I'm certainly not finding Keenan Allen suspect, but I'm wondering what the hell's going on. The Chargers are a far cry away from that lights out era we saw back in the early 2000s-ish, involving that excellent linebacking core that had the pass rush that they did. They don't have anything like that, especially when you're giving up 31 to the Broncos, man. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's Chargers are another team that they're 2-6, 2-5 now.
Well, I know I picked them to do pretty bad in August, and then they're 2-5 at the moment. I picked them to do pretty bad in August, but after Herbert's doing what he's doing and having shootouts with all-time great quarterbacks, it's really shocking to see this game fall. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, because I was of the mindset this season that the Chargers were a much better team than the Broncos. It just didn't come to fruition this week. Broncos, for some reason, the coach makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, I'll
right?
agree with that.
Makes a lot of mistakes on during the game, but yet somehow they're playing well, and despite all their injuries as well. You know, top two receivers are out and whatnot. I don't know. Again, hard to read this team, but you know what? Denver's another team that could catch fire here and make a run for the last playoff spot.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know if they can get past the Raiders right now, right?
Right, exactly. And listen, there would have been a day where I would have laughed you out of the building, but there's that seventh spot you got to account for. And if the Broncos can roll a few games together, maybe it'll happen. But I don't think that Drew Lock's the guy, and I'll leave it at that, man.
I don't think he's showing all that to be considered a lock to be their future quarterback. You're right.
Speaking of a team that I don't trust with any sort of credibility, even though the fact they got a good record, better than the Broncos at least, they may wear orange, but they still, at the end of the day, have a record that's better than the Broncos at 5-3 currently. After losing to the New Orleans Saints in overtime, the Chicago Bears lost at home in the Windy City to Drew Brees and company. As much as the Saints tried to keep the Bears in this game, again, it's another situation where things break in their favor. There's a fumble on the play, recovered by the Saints, game's over, and somehow or another gets overturned because it was believed that was forward progress achieved. Okay, listen. I don't get how that can be determined after the fact, but I've stopped trying to understand in the NFL officiating some time ago. Of course, excuse me, the big talk in this is the receiver Mims throwing punches, breaking out of a route, walking over to a corner, and proceeding to sucker punch him. He got suspended for 2 games, Bobby Blackjack. Your thoughts on that?
Entirely so. I saw a headline before when I was doing errands. Apparently, he tried to make an excuse. Do you know what he said? Anybody any chance?
Yeah, allegedly that this corner who's apparently a problem child on the ilk of Cortland Finnegan, for those that know that name, though a far less talented player, allegedly spit on players and poked Tyreek Cohen in the eye last year when they played each other. I believe was the gripe.
So he's been burning his gripe for over a year.
Basically,
that comes nowhere near the whole Golden Tate Jalen Ramsey beef.
That was a lot better too, not for nothing.
And stuff. That's a gripe right there. Really? Because he poked the. Is this something to last year?
Man, listen. I'm just telling you.
I mean, I haven't heard the guy before, so he can't be a guy that's very has a Gorilla Glue bond on a roster spot, right?
One would think not, and then allegedly too that this guy's gotten into fisticuffs allegedly with other players on the same squad and has issues with the likes of even Michael Thomas. So even if he was a good player, one would be inclined to think that his bond would dissolve rather easily, nonetheless. But finally, somebody shows the Bears the door, and they do suffer a loss here. The Saints, of course, desperately watching the game with the Giants there, cheering desperately for New York to win the day. But Bobby, I got to tell you, do you listen? Call me a hater if you want. Maybe it's accurate here. I just can't take the Chicago Bears team seriously. I can't do it. You know,
I'm with you. They've won ugly, right? They've won because obviously they have a great defense, but their offense is nothing to write home about. And again, I always look back to fantasy football. I'm somebody who has David Montgomery, so I watch a lot of those games, and that offense is nothing to write home about. With Foles, I don't care if it's Foles or Trubisky, but you know what? One thing Foles is doing though is showing that. All right, it's a small sample size yet because I think they're down to 5-3 now. But he's showing he can win when not wearing Eagles green. But on the other side of the coin, I just don't think this team is all of that. And it'd be interesting to see what happens to the NFC North the rest of the season. Because I mentioned before how Green Bay is
Yeah.
Minnesota is underachieving, but they've got a little winning streak. They're right back in it. And even Detroit's 3-4. They're not that far off.
It may not be the best division, but it certainly is a competitive one. You're spot on there too, right? Currently, the Bears are 1 game back. The Lions are 2 games back. The Vikings, sad as they are only 3 games back. And hey, listen, at the end of the day, the Packers, one of their losses are in division. So, of course, to the aforementioned Vikings. The problem with the Lions is they've already lost 2 games in the division. I believe one of them was to the Packers. The other must have been to the Bears at this point. So, yeah, actually, it was that drop in the end zone in week 1. That's one of the Bears wins. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. But, it's a competitive division, I'll grant you that. But nobody there has any real Super Bowl credibility. I think we'll agree there.
Think about it. That division is like that division is so wishy-washy, so to speak, and they're not even close to being the NFC East. So I mean, where's the whole NFC is based in 2 divisions right now.
Yeah, and one of them being the juggernaut that is the NFC West. Just like I told you and Danny that it would be in August and September, the NFC West, even with the 49ers MASH unit, is an intimidating bunch. And, of course, the Seattle Seahawks having back-to-back NFC West games, man, that's got to suck on your schedule. Of course, they had the overtime game Sunday primetime against the Cardinals last week. This week, they had the 49ers. And I got to tell you, while they did win 37-27, if I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm very concerned about this. because at one point they were up big, 3 scores, and somehow or another let this team get back in to a 10-point game. They scored 37 to basically seal at that time. But had the Niners stopped it, that would have been a close game. And I'm pretty sure you will certainly agree that it's on the strength of one Russell Carrington Wilson that they did go about handling their business at the end of the day. Of course, Rusty has 261 yards passing on the day, and the big key, of course, being fewer turnovers. That's how football works, ladies and gentlemen. But Bobby, listen.
Real quick, Kyle.
Yeah.
I want to make a point.
Sure.
Going back to their loss last Sunday night to the Cardinals,
right?
That could turn out to be a blessing in disguise because we all knew how bad the defense was, right?
Right.
And they made one move already for Carlos Dunlap, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Excellent.
And they're going to make another move, which could be Stephon Gilmore by tomorrow's trade deadline. So that loss might end up being a very constructive one because it kind of showed their higher ups that, hey, this is what we need to do to fix this team because this team is a legit Super Bowl contender. And maybe that's going to be the game that turns the season around a little bit.
So what you're telling me is when everybody's healthy in the next couple of weeks, we could be seeing a team with 2 defensive Pro Bowlers in Shaquille Griffin and Bobby Wagner, as well as Jamal Adams, who himself is a Pro Bowler and is all right, even playing for a sorry Jets team at that point in time, and Stephon Gilmore, with Carlos Dunlap in the pass rush. I think
that could be a scenario. You're not going to like it as a Niners fan, but
I as a Niners follower, I would rather not see that come into San Francisco in the next game. You're correct. But as a football fan, that is delicious. You're absolutely right. And hey,
Russell Wilson got robbed. Let's just face it. Russell Wilson got robbed by Pete Carroll, not handing the ball off to what's his name in the Super Bowl?
Marshawn Lynch.
Patriots. Marshawn Lynch. Russell Wilson should be a quarterback that has multiple championships. The way he carries himself, the way he's kind of the underdog like Brady was. Brady being a 7th round draft pick. You know, the picture of his shirt at the combine where he's like, you know, surfer flab body type of thing, you know. And Russell Wilson is a short guy, right? Comparatively speaking. So he's the kind of guy that you would think, you know, will constantly overachieve and prove to be he's the best quarterback in football right now, aside from Mahomes, and should have multiple rings, multiple chips. So I think this team is hey, I'll tell you right now, call me crazy, but you're looking at it, we have a collision course right now of a repeat of Steelers versus Seahawks.
Huh. Steelers Seahawks, huh?
I don't know if Mahomes and I love me some Andy Reid. I love me some Mahomes. You know, if I'm going to buy a jersey of somebody who's not one of my team, he's probably my next jersey, him or Wilson.
Fair.
Wilson, right? I don't know if they have enough to do it again. But we'll see, though, because Pittsburgh does play. They do play soon, the Chiefs. So we'll get a little barometer to see where both teams are at going into the postseason. So we have an exciting second half of the season coming up in the NFL.
Ain't that the truth, man? Listen, say what you will. I know there have been issues with COVID, but somehow or another 2020 still has been a good NFL season by any stretch of the imagination. Now, first of all, I'll see your theft of Russell Wilson's Super Bowl by him throwing an interception, and I will raise you the fact that he was the MVP in 2019, and he was also the MVP in 2017. But Kyle, they didn't make the playoffs. I don't care. They were in the race for the playoff hunt in 2017 until week 17, and that was with Russell Carrington Wilson leading both in passing and in rushing because Chris Carson got hurt early in the year. And I'll leave it at that. The one bright spot I will offer for the 49ers is Brandon Ayuk catching 8 passes for 91 yards and a touchdown, emerging as a top-level receiver. You got to be happy about that happening with that pick.
I've been playing him in my league, 2 of my leagues. He's performing.
So
he's really stepping up.
The bad news, of course, being George Kittle out for 8 weeks. Jimmy Garoppolo is a starting quarterback out indefinitely. He may not come back.
All right, real quick. Right now, you're a Niner guy.
Mhm.
Is it me or does the offense seem better with Mullins at quarterback this year, right now? I'm not saying,
I hear what you're saying. I think there's going to be some numbers and some sentiment that support that, but one must also factor that Mullins is doing it in garbage time, right? By the time he's coming in, the game's out of hand, right? And so they're flinging the ball. They're getting a lot more stats piled up that way. And listen, if you're going to try to imply that a guy that isn't trying to plant his foot with a high ankle sprain might be looking a little better, who am I to tell you you're wrong, partner? You know what I'm saying?
I tell you though, I was texting my partner here, my cousin, about this. Don't sleep on Jordan Reed. If he can stay healthy, Jordan Reed's dangerous.
He's very dangerous. And listen, it's not that I'm sleeping on him. I'm sleeping on how many injuries are on this squad. Listen, at the end of the day, I already had the 49ers losing this game, A, for being on the road, and B, listen, while their defensive line is still pretty good, being down your top two pass rushers in Ford and Bosa, that's a tall ask when you're playing against the guy who is, in my opinion, the MVP of 2020. Unless, of course, he gets injured or something like that. Get out my face with this Kyler Murray trash. You got Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins in the same receiver core. No quarterback throwing to that can be an MVP, period.
And what about Christian Kirk? A very, very underrated receiver in the NFL.
All you did was add to my point. I mean, if we're going to play that game, what about Kenyon Drake, too? I'm just saying.
I have him on my team. He's like by the way, that Monday night we did a show 2 weeks ago, and I was outside because it was actually so nice out. I watched the rest of the game on outside after producing your show, and when he broke through that line for that run, I won my week in fantasy football. I yelled so loud at 11:30 that night. I think I woke neighbors up.
And listen, aside from you fantasy football folk, what I would also add, something you would not expect from a guy of Kenyon Drake's stature, he's a pretty good pass blocker too, man. That's what I picked up from his time. I was writing for the Dolphins Wire when he was there the year previous and the year he got traded. So, yeah, whatever. Kyler Murray's not the MVP. Stop it. Anyway, not to say he's bad. He's just not the MVP. And, of course, lastly, I probably should have done this earlier, but whatever. Philly beats Dallas, obviously. Ben DiNucci, whatever. I know that Danny would probably come out and have something to say about the fact that Carson Wentz did not have his best game, but at the end of the day, do you really need to have your best game to beat the Dallas Cowboys? Because as the Shannon Sharp meme taught me, you can't spell Dallas without back-to-back L's. This division is terrible, but I'm pretty sure the Eagles are going to win it. What say you, Bobby?
You know what? Now, going against my buddy Danny, who's not with us tonight, Giants hold on and win this game, right?
Okay.
We are a 2-6 team that's still alive in the playoffs, unlike his Falcons.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
I mean, facts don't care about my feelings, but ouch.
Another reason why Danny's not here, partying too hard this weekend. He's partying because of Steve Cohen buying the Mets, too. That's being official.
I know that was a big deal of bets, and that was something that he was incredibly stoked about. I'm good for him. I don't know. See, this is the difference between me and Danny Thompson hosting is we're going to actually not be late here, and we're coming up on after that Cowboys, Eagles, man. I can't.
You know what? I'm also starting to think that Ronnie doesn't exist as a real person, and that's Danny's alter ego, and that's him posting Ronnie comments all the time.
That's Danny's burner account?
Yeah, that's Danny's burner account. That guy doesn't really exist, and he's just.
Well, then Precious is about to be pissed because that burner account has Rodney posing with a girl. I'm just saying. So.
Ooh, not going there.
Oh man, that's funny. So here's where I'm gonna go. We've done a lot of stuff here on Beyond the Buzzer and everybody's favorite segment known as the Mount Rushmore segment. We've done a lot of stuff with food. We've done a lot of stuff with TV shows, but I'm pretty sure we haven't done this. And if we have, Bobby will correct me. And if I'm wrong, I have a backup just in case. Bobby Blackjack, we just experienced the phenomenon that we do every year in the form of Halloween. Bobby Blackjack, give me your Mount Rushmore of essential Halloween costumes.
Wow.
Boo. Now, keep in mind, this isn't necessarily something you'll have in a particular year. Like there's this disturbing amount of small children dressed up as Deadpool. I don't know how I feel about that, but
yeah, that's a rated R movie, so that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, exactly. But something that you expect to see, you saw it in Halloween 2010. You're gonna see it. You saw it this past weekend, and you're gonna see it again in Halloween on 2030 when both of us start to have white hair. Or okay, maybe not white hair, but you get it.
I think. All right, let me start off by I think what's going to be eternally etched into the lore of Halloween is going to be the Joker.
Interesting.
Right? I think you're always going to see that because someone's going to find, someone's going to say, "Hey, I want to put makeup today," and start doing her face like Joker with the cut mouth and everything. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know Jersey. I was doing my Uber Eats the other night during Halloween. I don't take passengers anymore.
Right.
The coolest outfit I got. Wasn't a lot of people out maybe because of COVID or whatnot. But the coolest outfit I seen was two guys walking out of an Uber dressed as Arizona iced tea cans.
That's different.
Complete with like the hat with the little like flowery Asian thing going on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Arizona tea cans.
Yeah.
Okay, that's unique. I'll give it that. That's super comfortable. Like
it's kind of like a pullover thing,
Sure, but like it's a good thing that you weren't taking in passengers. How the hell would they fit in the car, right? Anyway.
Yeah, it was a weird one. So I'm gonna say the Joker is essential because I think that's gonna be etching in everyone's lore.
Interesting. Okay.
Geez, I haven't dressed for Halloween in a long time. There's always I DJed a lot of years to Halloween, seen a lot of different outfits and whatnot. I'm not even going to mention the females who can go as quote unquote slutty anything.
Right.
I'm slutty garbage woman. Garbage picker upper woman. I think on the female side, you're always going to have a sexy cat, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's a simple outfit for a woman to kind of pull off. They probably have a similar outfit to wear out anyway. They put on little whiskers and a little thing, and they're a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that's essential to have one of those laying around. Geez, you got me stumped on this one. I was thinking more automotive tonight, but maybe for next week.
So if you're thinking
Joker,
we're not. Think.
Joker, sexy cat. I don't know. What do you got? I'll join in. I'll just pick up collaborative.
To be honest, I did not come in 100%. I had the topic, but I didn't pick it out yet, so I could still do my thing on the fly. But listen, you're already spot on 100% with the cat. I'll give you that up front. You say sexy cat? Listen, let's try to keep it involved to where I think a lot of kids under the age where sexy costumes are relevant, a default for any female Halloween costume is 100% a cat. No question. Listen, very simple. Got the thing. I can make ears, draw some whiskers, all black. Bam, you're done. It's going to be there 100%, one thing all the way around. And by the way, keeping it stereotypical, leading with the female side of the thing. So, in other words, to keep it as unsexist as possible, a witch, right? What's one of a particular demographic, Bobby Blackjack? And we talked about this on Hilarity by Default last week. Very good episode, by the way. The movie for females of our demographic, of our age group, for the most part, when it comes to Halloween, is Hocus Pocus, right? Witches are a thing, not just because of that, but now it's not even just limited to where you have to have a hat, a top hat, lacking a better way to term it, and a long nose or anything like that. You just need a dress of a particular dark color, hair that's a little of a particular freakiness, and then maybe some eyeliner in the right places, some whooshy poses, and boom, you're a witch. Very easy, and also something you speak to be there just on the fly. I like what you did with the Joker to kind of spice it up with the modern touch, but I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to make it something far more, well, intrinsic to a Floridian point of view. Savvy. I'm going to with a pirate. Yes, the pirate as a go-to costume for kids and adults alike. Listen, I hope Corbin, when he gets older, isn't trying to dress up as the Joker as a 6-year-old. Not looking for that. But at the end of the day, I get the Joker proliferating as a costume. You'll get plenty of points if you said Batman was on this list for Mount Rushmore. I'll certainly give Bats.
I was going to say Batman because that seems to be like a. And good thing about Batman, unlike Superman and Spider-Man or Iron Man, whoever, think about it. There's a lot of different versions of Batman throughout the years.
Fair.
In fact, where they changed the look a little bit.
Right.
So you got the modern Batman with the muscles. You got the Adam West Batman, more of the kitschy 60s look. And then there's the other Batman, Michael Keaton Batman, kind of that normal one in the middle. So you can have three buddies of yours all dressed as Batman, and each be a different person because there's different eras of Batman. Unlike Spider-Man, looks the same throughout time.
There have been slight alterations, but you're right.
Yeah. So I think so definitely Batman is on that list of essentials.
Yeah, I got Batman. I got Batman honorable mention. I don't know that I'm brave enough to put him on the list because my final thing, and listen, it's only increased due to things that I'm not necessarily fond of, but one has to say that dressing up as a vampire, that was a thing that was cool when I was in elementary school. I never did it. When I was in elementary school, then Buffy the Vampire Slayer happened, and then that got it cool. It was cool even then beyond that. And then Twilight happened, and it was cool beyond that. Like, vampire has to be at least an honorable mention on your list as an essential Halloween costume. Just got to, right? So that means I got cat, pirate, witch, and vampire for my Mount Rushmore. I believe we got 3 from you, and you signed off on cat. You got Joker, and you have Batman too. You got one more? You got one more for me?
Real quick though, another cover by Daniel Jones. They showed a graphic earlier where I forget the exact number, but he is second only to Ryan Leaf as far as first couple years in the NFL and amount of turnovers in the league.
Oh my God!
If you're being compared in the same breath as Ryan Leaf, I don't think you're too long in this league to be a starting quarterback.
An appropriate.
He's a
very scary.
So I think one more big Halloween one, huh? What do I see?
Halloween costume. Yes.
When you wear the mask, people feel less exposed, right? So people have this.
I don't know. Let's go with the.
About the coronavirus, they have this uncertainty. So the mask actually provides them with the safety.
Let's go with. It's always someone from Star Wars, maybe.
Star Wars costumes, if you're making that a general thing, makes sense. I would have said I got Devil on my honorable mention.
Devil, okay.
Yeah, because
until you one, red, little tail, little horns, and
And females have begun to embrace it lately too. Like, I don't know if you saw Joy Taylor on the Colin Cowherd show, but damn.
I gotta look at that. By the way, speaking of witches, I saw a video before on Facebook. I'm not sure if you saw this. It was some dude riding like an electric bike, driving down the road, and the bike was kind of like a chopper style electric bike. You know, he's on a road, and he was dressed as a witch, and the bike itself was designed so the back of the bike, the back wheels were actually like the edge of the broom.
Okay.
So he's riding as if he's flying on a broomstick, being a witch.
I like it.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you, Harry Potter, for that edition too. By the way,
real quick, as we're mentioning Halloween costumes, any idea with any thought of what our buddy Danny Thompson maybe dressed as this weekend?
I don't know what he would have dressed up as. I didn't really get a chance to check out Facebook to see pictures of him or what his daughter may have done for the holiday. But I mean, hey, we'll leave it for Monday and or next week, and hopefully he's back on his feet. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he wanted to be here with all the stuff he had going for him. The only bit of crow that he would have been forced to eat might have been the Golden Gophers, but I'm pretty sure he's over that.
Yeah, I think he's past that. Yeah, a lot of good things. You know, his sports world is on uptick now between Falcons winning, Mets being sold, and so he's in a good spot right now.
Yeah, he's going to be all right, Bobby Blackjack.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
But
I'm pretty sure about that.
All right, man. Well, we're going to reach that part of the show, brother. Any shouts, any love you want to give to anybody out there?
Yeah, I'm gonna play it cool this week, and glad to be on. You know, I want to thank you, and of course, we had Will last week because this is kind of my dress rehearsal to get myself back on the air and ready to go, and probably this week. But I keep saying that, but I'm getting close.
The Bobby Blackjack re-premiere probably this week.
Could be this week. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow. Like I said, we mentioned this before a few times. Not only the election day tomorrow, it's also the NFL trade deadline. Or is it Wednesday?
I think it's the end of Tuesday, so it would be technically Wednesday that it's that is the deadline.
Yeah, so tomorrow will be a big news day all around, and maybe I'll come on and just see what happens. But no, it was a pleasure joining you. It was fun. I enjoy my interjections, but this time I was front and center, so it was pretty cool.
Hey man, listen, you always come up big, and like I said when we were talking about trying to give Danny the opportunity to rest, man, I just want to have the opportunity to say that I could do it. Of course, check us out as well here on. If you missed us here on Facebook, check out our stuff on Zingo TV. Remind me, what channel, Bobby?
Channel 198.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and of course, please check out the host of the show, who's normally here handling business, Danny Thompson. You will find him on Twitter. See, I had it ready to go, and then my phone logged. And you find him on Twitter at Danny3Thompson on Twitter. Of course, you'll find me on Twitter myself as the SOTG, Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Find me on Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. My man Bobby Blackjack doing a great job in support and in the pilot's chair here, doing the co-piloting thing. Great points all the way around. Great conversation, and not just about Notre Dame football, for the record.
Real quick, Kyle, did you watch the latest Mandalorian?
I did. The big
nice, right?
Nice. I only had one moment where I'm like, I don't know why you did this, but it looks to be. I'm happy about the fact that there is no apparent step back in quality. I'm always paranoid about that, and you did not have it, at least based on episode 1. So I'm stoked. I'm loving it, bro. I'm loving it. John Favreau for the win, ladies and gentlemen.
And I love the fact, by the way, that how they're kind of continuing or bringing along the whole Star Wars universe, because they mentioned this happening in the past, they mentioned this happening in the future, and if you look at some of these, there's graphics out there's things, a lot of fandom, obviously.
Sure.
There's definitely a way where this all fits in the whole storyline. So it's pretty cool to see what's happening. And hey, anytime I can see my little guy, Baby Yoda, doing his thing, I'm happy.
You have spoken. Yeah, man. Hey, the Mandalorian's the jam, and you know how else the Mandalorian helped me, Bobby Blackjack? Because when I bought my Disney Plus subscription, I bought the one that came with ESPN Plus.
Oh, she got the Hulu and
yeah, so I could get prepped for this show tonight, watching NFL primetime, and I got the opportunity to watch the UCF games that get pushed to Plus as well.
That's awesome.
So there you go, all the way around. The Mandalorian assassinating sports for you as well. It's only appropriate we bring it up here, in my opinion.
Of course.
Find me on Instagram as the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of a game. Check out my other works where we'll probably talk a little bit of Mandalorian at some point with Hilarity by Default, my good friend Demosthenes Euclid. Check out the playlist we have there for the Sports Symposium. Bobby, I'll send you a link so you can hear my feelings about fantasy football and what it is as an entity and anomaly in the sports world. Fantasy sports overall, not just football, by the way. I mean, hell, fantasy golf is a thing. I'm just saying.
Oh, boy. It's going to be a Florida thing.
I don't play that mess. Anyway, I'm not even prepared to argue for that. Of course, check out my works with oldschool101.com, and of course my UCF writings with my friends at the 3pointconversion.com. Had a piece for this past weekend's action with the UCF Knights, and that whole situation, despite the fact they were missing starters, by the way, on defense going into the game, still handily won the day against Houston. See my write-up on that on the 3pointconversion.com. And unless there's anything else, listen, I had a great time. I always have a great time, but I had a great time in the driver's seat in for your man, Danny Thompson. And as I sign off, because I'm the student of the game, until next time, everyone, class dismissed.
See you guys next week.